welcome to Walk the Pod, your daily walking show where I take my podcast for a walk because I don't have a dog. This is episode 7, series 62 of the Daily Walking Podcast that tempts you away from your desk at lunchtime to spend 10 minutes walking in nature. I'm in Kensington Gardens and I would love to go on a little blossom viewing trip this lunchtime because we have blossom out in the park and Kensington Gardens is listed as one of the places to see blossom in London, but I probably don't have time to spend as long as I'd like to blossom viewing, but I'm going to see what I can see from one part of the path. It's March in the UK and we don't have a tradition in the UK of celebrating the blossom season as they do in Japan, for example, and maybe Washington, where 3,000 cherry trees blossom each spring, thanks to Kyoto in Japan, who sent them over as a gift a while back. So they have sort of borrowed that tradition. We don't really have that tradition, but I think it might be a bit of a mistake to miss it, because the cherry, apple and plum blossom is absolutely beautiful. And then we've got other things blossoming as well, like yesterday I was talking about hawthorn. On the way to the tube station this morning I saw quite a lot of laburnum, which is sort of trails of yellow blossom in the trees. And trees which bear fruit produce these beautiful blooms which are available to see now and blowing around when there's a breeze up. It's absolutely stunning. So highly encourage you to get involved with that if you possibly can. Meanwhile, we're talking about Ego this series, and having recently watched Bonnie and Clyde for the first time, I want to discuss the different types of ego that perhaps there are. Clyde Barrow, a good example of an ego sort of tied up with skill or just pure bravado maybe rather than skill. But there are different types of ego, just so much as there are different amounts of it to be had in a particular person. Welcome to Walk the Pod. Clyde Barrow in Bonnie and Clyde is a bank robber and shows absolutely no regard whatsoever for his own or others' safety. He behaves very much as if he's immortal, and it was fascinating watching that film whilst we're discussing the topic this series, because I thought, here is a person whose ego is just unravelling before my eyes. He's up against it. He's holed up in one of his gang members' father's houses somewhere in America, and he's ranting and raving about how they're going to take down the bank, and how they're still going to do this and they're still going to do that. He's got no sort of ability to gain any perspective on his own situation, which is that he's injured and is very soon going to be cornered. And then there are other egos which are not so much I am going to achieve this or I am going to achieve that, something which has been called arrogance recently in relation to members of the leadership team at England cricket who talk a lot about what they're going to do and what their training allows them to do and how great they are, and then they don't win anything. But there are some examples of people who have a huge ego in a slightly different way, and that different way is not so much I am going to achieve this or that thing, but just I am awesome. Thinking of the likes of Muhammad Ali, previously known as Cassius Clay, and maybe the hamster from Bolt. This is why I need your help, buddies, because my cultural reference points are not extensive enough to be able to think of examples. I'd love to know what ego means to you. I've just got time for a couple of voice notes in the next couple of episodes. So if you want to go to walkthepod.com, record 90 seconds of your beautiful voice, telling me anything ego makes you think of, I would be eternally grateful. What can I see directly in front of me? Well, I've managed to make a little trip into the centre of the park, and I am going to have to go back to my desk very soon because I do not technically have time for this at all. But I can see a lot of blossom, which is very pleasing indeed. There's something here which looks a bit like a magnolia, but the petals are completely different. The flower shapes are completely different to magnolia flowers. So, oh, hang on. It is a magnolia, but it's a magnolia stellata. Thank you, Kensington Gardens, for putting a sign on the tree so I can see. So magnolia stellata is like a traditional magnolia flower shape, except that it's got many more petals and they're very much more separated than a traditional magnolia, and they're absolutely beautiful. There is one just a couple of doors down on our road actually, and I keep looking at it admiringly without realising that it was a magnolia after all. So there's quite a lot of magnolias around. There's also some camellia bushes which are also in full flower at the moment, and then we've got blossom. Sorry, I keep saying the word blossom. I've said the word blossom far too many times already this episode, which is probably cherry or plum, I would imagine, around and about the place, and it's just gorgeous. I've just seen a sign, welcome to the South Flower Walk, so I'm definitely going to have to come back some stage soon to have a proper look at that. And generally speaking, I'm just experiencing this kind of, here I am, reaching the very tip of a huge park that I can explore in my lunch break. And I know that I could spend hours here on a sunny day just having a proper look around. So if you're ever in London, put Kensington Gardens on your list in March so that you can get involved in looking at blossoms as they are at the height of their delicate beauty. Thank you for walking with me, dear friends. It's been an absolute delight to stretch my legs with you this lunchtime. I'm walking now towards the Royal Albert Hall with the ridiculous Prince Albert Memorial on my left, which never ceases to strike me as ludicrous every time I walk past it, because it is so massive and so gold-plated. There's people rollerblading and jogging past, and a couple of mounted police officers approaching as I cross the road. So there is a lot going on in the park today. This is rather a grander park than I used to walk round, it has to be said. The very lowly Tooting Gardens was wonderful, but is quite a small park, whereas this one is huge and ornate and gold-plated in parts. So a little bit ridiculous. I should be back with episode 8 tomorrow, and then we'll be summing up what we've learned so far on Thursday, and I'll be thanking members of the Walk the Pod Lunchtime Walk Club on Friday. If you'd like to get involved with Walk the Pod and join our online message board and see behind the scenes photos from the show, I would be delighted if you would like to join, and you can do that via walkthepod.com too. Take care of your beautiful mind, and I'll be back tomorrow.